This is the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. It launches in 2026, and it never comes back. In the next few minutes, you will find out exactly where it is right now. 4 weeks before launch, and it is not anywhere you would expect. Picture a machine built to stare at 1 billion galaxies before its mission even begins. Right now, it is not orbiting anything. It is not sitting on a rocket. It is somewhere far stranger, and the next 4 weeks decide if it ever leaves the ground at all. For over 3 decades, Hubble showed us what a 2.4-meter mirror could do, pointed at deep space. One of its most famous images is called the ultra-deep field. It comes from a patch of sky about the size of a grain of sand, held at arm's length. That is how narrow its view really was. The telescope, 4 weeks from launch, shares that exact mirror size. 2.4 meters, same glass, almost the same weight class. But its camera, called the wide field instrument, can capture up to 100 times more sky in a single shot. And it does that at the same sharpness Hubble worked years to achieve. Over a planned 5-year mission, it is expected to measure light from roughly 1 billion galaxies. Not glance at, measure, catalog, and analyze. That number alone is why astronomers have waited over a decade for this launch. And all of that potential is sitting, right now, inside one very specific room, 4 weeks from launch. Right now, this telescope is not flying anywhere. It is sitting inside a building at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The building is called the Payload Hazardous Servicing Facility. The U.S. Space Agency, NASA, moved the telescope there on June 21st. Engineers used a crane to lift it onto a work platform with an oddly grand name. They call it the Pantheon. Once it was in place, they powered the whole observatory on and ran system checks. They needed to confirm it survived the trip from Maryland in one piece. It did. That sounds almost administrative. It is not. Every wire, every joint, every fold in 6 solar array panels still has to prove itself. None of that happens until this thing actually reaches space. And here is the part most people miss. This building is not called hazardous by accident. The most dangerous part of this whole month has not even started yet. Before this telescope can leave Florida, technicians have to fuel it. About 290 gallons of hydrazine go into its tanks. Hydrazine is the fuel that will steer the telescope once it reaches space. It is toxic, and it ignites easily. That is exactly why this building exists in the first place. Once the tanks are full, there is no draining them again. After fueling, the telescope disappears. It gets sealed inside a rocket fairing built by SpaceX. From that point on, nobody sees it again until it is already in the sky. This telescope is named after Nancy Grace Roman. She was NASA's first chief astronomer. In the 1960s and 70s, she spent years convincing Congress to fund what became the Hubble Space Telescope. People still call her the mother of Hubble. That is not a coincidence of naming. It is a direct line. The same instinct that built Hubble is what built this. Then it goes on top of one of the most powerful rockets ever assembled. And it only gets one attempt to get this right. But before any of this goes near a rocket, it has to prove it can actually do the one thing it was built for. This telescope carries 2 instruments, and each one escalates the stakes on its own. The first spends 5 years staring deep into the crowded center of our galaxy. More stars packed into one patch of sky means more chances to catch a rare event. A brief flicker every time one star passes in front of another. That flicker is expected to reveal over 1,000 new planets. Some of them will be ordinary. Current estimates put the rest in the hundreds, possibly more than 1,000. They are called rogue planets, worlds drifting through the galaxy with nothing to orbit. The second instrument is a coronagraph, built to block starlight and photograph individual planets around other stars directly. No telescope has ever flown an active version of this technology before. It has to suppress a star's glare down to about 1 part in a billion. All of that just to catch the faint light of a planet next door. The rocket itself is a Falcon Heavy. It launches from Complex 39A at Kennedy, the same pad that once sent astronauts to the moon. This telescope is not staying anywhere near Earth. It is headed to a spot called the Second Sun-Earth, Lagrange point. That spot sits about 1 million miles away, where the pull of the Sun and the pull of Earth balance out almost perfectly. A spacecraft can sit there for years without drifting. Europe got there first. The European Space Agency launched a telescope called Euclid in 2023, parked in roughly that same region. It is hunting for the same mystery, dark energy, the effect that seems to be pushing the universe apart faster every year. 2 space agencies, 2 telescopes, racing to explain the same unsolved problem from slightly different angles. But there is one enormous difference between this mission and Hubble's. Hubble orbits close enough that astronauts once flew up and fixed its mirror by hand. Nothing is fixing this telescope once it reaches 1 million miles out. No repair mission, no second flight. Whatever gets tested on the ground in the next 4 weeks is the only chance anyone gets. None of this is guaranteed to go perfectly. NASA itself labels the coronagraph a technology demonstration, not a finished instrument. NASA is not promising it will work exactly as designed. The August 30th date is also listed as no earlier than. In spaceflight, that phrase is a polite way of saying delays happen constantly. Weather, hardware, reasons nobody can predict yet. Ambition and uncertainty are traveling to the launch pad together. There is one detail I keep returning to. A telescope built to measure 1 billion galaxies is, at this exact moment, doing none of that. It is sitting on a metal platform inside a clean room, waiting for technicians to finish checking its wiring. The biggest questions about the universe, right now, come down to solar panels and fuel tanks. They come down to a building with the word hazardous in its name. That gap says something. The gap between the scale of what this telescope is meant to do and the smallness of the room it is sitting in right now. That is not a flaw in the story. That is the story. Every telescope that changed what we know about the cosmos went through this exact unglamorous stretch first. Hubble launched with a flawed mirror. It still became one of the most productive telescopes ever built, once astronauts went up and fixed it by hand. A stall on the ground is not the same as failure. It is usually just the price of doing this at all. Nancy Grace Roman never got to see any of this. She died in 2018. NASA renamed this telescope in her honor a year and a half later, in 2020. In 4 weeks, her name leaves the planet without her.